Hey there! In today's video we're going to enjoy a beautiful masterpiece from MVL Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, France number 2. Nowadays he used to be world number 2 for a while, but now things have changed a little bit for him, and yeah, Firouja is living in France, so he is France number 2, is still a pretty strong 27-31 player, and yeah, we are going to enjoy the way he dominates Sebastian Bogner from Switzerland, and at the same time we're going to recognize the power of the Spanish for Knights. Yeah, one of the openings that is closest to my heart. As you may know, I created a chessable course devoted to it, and I've been teaching it to my students for a long while already, so this is one of my favorite openings, and I was monitoring how it performed at the Olympiad, and it was a really nice performance, played by grandmasters, played in both sections. In the women's section things were even better. It was played 20 times with 13 wins for white and 6 for black. This I didn't like so much. I have to tell you that it was in the lowest boards, where even that is the Olympiad, players are not so strong there. And okay, so it was played by Maxime, by the Knightage, typical players of the Spanish Four Knights. The Spanish Four Knights is not as popular as the Italian or the Ruy Lopez, but is a real playable opening and easy to understand. I like a lot of its strategical features. One of those we're going to witness it in this game, Maxime versus Sebastian Bogner. So without further ado, let's jump right into the game played in the Chess Olympiad, recently finished in Budapest. Round 5, France faces Switzerland, and here we go. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, and here knight c3. Rather than capturing or playing d4, no interest in getting into the Russian, into the Petrov defense, so knight c3, knight c6, and we are back to the Spanish Four Knights after bishop b5. Yeah, the thing here is that bishop b4 is a little bit annoying, at least for me. So knight c6, bishop b5, the Spanish Four Knights, and knight d4. Yeah, the rock solid variation for black. The typical main line is bishop b4, castle. This is the line I recommend in my course. Black takes the chance to grab the bishop to get the bishop pair. Typical also c6, this is perhaps the strongest, but knight takes b5 is the most solid, and a lot of people consider the main line. Knight takes b5, c6, knight c3, and d6. Yeah, black has the bishop pair, as I told you before, is a little bit more cramped, especially after d4. We're threatening e5, queen c7, and that's the idea, no? They want to keep the center solid, bring all their pieces to the game, and later try to use the bishop pair. But as whites, we have several ideas to make this objective more difficult. So bishop g5, threatening bishop takes f6, bishop e7, and now black is ready to castle, but also is trying to play b5, gaining some space, especially for this bishop, probably to play the bishop on b7. And well, that's the reason why we play a4. Now castle, h3, avoiding bishop g4, and rook e8. Yeah, the game reaches a very interesting situation. How to play as white? What are the ideas for white? Yeah, you'll be surprised by Maxime Vachier approach. The normal approach would be rook e1, or perhaps even queen d3. Who knows, even a5. Vachier's ideas were very clear, and he traded on f6. Yeah, if you see a beginner making this trade, you will go and say, come on, don't trade bishops for knights if you're getting nothing, if you're not damaging the structure. But this could be not the case. After bishop takes f6, the idea is to play d5. Yeah, he's trying to get their knights to be superior to the bishops. So he delivered the bishop pair to make these beautiful knights stronger. bishop d7. Yeah, black keeps the flexibility, keeps the tension in the center. Playing c5 may seem normal, but it blockades the position further on, while playing for an open position by trading on d5 encounters knight takes d5, and our knight reaches the central square for free. This doesn't make sense, and yeah, that's the reason bishop d7 seems absolutely normal. Queen d3. Yeah, this is a very nice move. He controls this diagonal and yeah, clears the path for his rooks. I suspect that this rook is going to be well placed here, supporting a expansion on the queen side, and the other rook may come to d1. It seems the most natural, but sometimes it gets to c1 to defend the c2 pawn. Well, rook a c8 and rook fd1. Yeah, now he's putting some pressure on d6, and it's a very important moment for black. Yeah, how to play. Bogner decided to play bishop e7. Yeah, but capturing on d5 is critical according to the engine, but from a practical perspective, knight takes e5. Yeah, capturing with the queen seems a little bit annoying. Yeah, we're capturing on d6, but after bishop e7, yeah, bishop e6 is coming, and I guess black is doing just fine. The queen is a very bad locator. So, might be an interesting way, and I'm thinking about knight e1 with intention of dropping back and later on putting the knight on d5. It might be, I'm not sure about it. But okay, so she takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes c2, knight takes f6, g takes f6, and here the mysterious looking queen e3. Yeah, queen e3 threatens to play queen h6, threatens to capture on d6, sometimes even the a7 pawn. Yeah, it's not my favorite pawn, but sometimes we can do it. This position is, according to the engine, equal, but it's not an easy position to play as black. Bogner decided to play bishop e7, turn it out to be punished by d takes c6, finally trading the structure. Sometimes white can play a5, intending to play a6, and only later, after this pawn being removed, capturing on c6, forcing black to recapture with a piece. Yeah, but this time he didn't care about black capturing b takes c6, covering the d5 square. Why? What his intention was? What he intended to play against b takes c6? Well, I guess you discovered well. The d7 bishop is attacked by the rook, and the queen is x-rayed by the queen and the rook. So knight takes e5 seems like a very good move. D takes e5, queen takes d7 with an extra pawn, and yeah, in case of bishop takes h3, queen takes h3, d takes e5, rook d7, and black has to be really careful. In case of queen b6, rook takes c7, and the rook on c8 is hanging. Rook takes c7, queen takes c8 with checkmate. Well, the game continued with bishop takes c6, and here we reach a very interesting position in which only one of the bishops is covering a light square, the other one is unable to do it. While our knights, both of them, are able to come and control d5. Yeah, one of them is already controlling d5, the knight on c3. But what about the other? How can we bring this knight to the control of d5? And this was answered right away by Maxime. But what would you play? What is your idea here? How to bring this knight to the fight of the key d5 square? Well, he played knight d2. Yeah, he's trying to place the knight on c4 or on f1. Yeah, this knight is more flexible than, for instance, on h2. Yeah, from h2, okay, from h2 it's also interesting. Knight g4, knight e3, knight f1, knight e3. Yeah, knight h2 is also interesting. I haven't considered it properly, but it's also an interesting choice. Knight e2 is more usual, but both of them are okay, I guess. Well, when you get the knights closer to the center, usually you feel more safe. The game continues with a6. Yeah, black is trying to play b5 to gain some counterplay. Knight f1, and here it is. He's directing the knight to d5. And well, the thing is that bishop d5 to stop our knight is simply not possible because of queen takes d6. So the game continues with b5. He's just trying to be consequent and gain some counterplay on the queen side. H takes b5, H takes b5. And yeah, c2 is hanging. We cannot capture here because of bishop takes b5, queen takes b5, and queen takes c2 with, I guess, that a good position for black. The e pawn is hanging now. So this doesn't look really promising at all. Yeah, the b pawn is also vulnerable. So okay, after h takes b5, knight e3, bring the knight to the control of d5, knight e3, and this time is not only the control of d5 but the defense of c2. We're ready to jump to d5 without being worried about c2. There's one more justification that I really like, is that b4, knight d5, bishop takes d5, knight takes d5. Now this time queen takes c2 is simply losing. After queen takes c2, rook takes c2, and knight e7 cannot be captured because of the background checkmate. So rook a8. So our strategy, Maxime Vachier's strategy, is being held by small tactical details, but he is really starting to dominate the game clearly. The game continues with queen b7. It looks okay. d5 is for grabs. Our knights are ready to get it, but things are not so simple, as you will see. Now, the thing is that knight e d5 is answered by b4. Yeah, and again, the c pawn is going to be hanging. And well, in case of the other knight arriving at d5, bishop g5 is also interesting. So both knights are happy, but now are under pressure. Bishop e3 is being threatened, and black wants to get rid of all the knights. So this is not so simple. So after queen b7, he came up with something really nice. He stopped black counterplay. Yeah, and he fixed at the same time, not only stopping b4, but he fixes b5. Black is guarding already the d backward pawn, and now b5 can be attacked easily by our forces with a move like rook a5. Yeah, and well, on the other hand, d5 is a weakness, so I guess this is pretty close from a big advantage. The game continued with g6, and now finally knight e d5. Yeah, b4 is not available any longer, so this knight is really comfortable on d5. Bishop g5, yeah, trying to activate the bishop. Yeah, it's not doing a big deal, but okay. Rook a5. Yeah, things are more or less simple. I was wondering what he could play against rook a8, and even rook a5 is possible, because the trades leave this a pawn that is pretty strong, and sometimes we are going to attack the b pawn playing rook b1. Yeah, this looks pretty promising for us, and sometimes we are even capturing on e7 and later on capturing on d6. So white is doing perfectly. The game continued with bishop d5, rook a5, putting pressure on b5, preparing to double the open file, rook b8, rook d a1, and well, white's domination is absolute, but things are far from over and far from easy still. Black's position is still really resilient. So queen d7, trying to enable rook b7 in case of rook a7, and queen g3. Yeah, trying to put extra pressure and to make black's coordination more difficult. Bishop d8 and rook a7. Queen e6, queen d3, putting pressure again on b5. Rook f8, rook 1 a6. Yeah, pressure is becoming unbearable now. Queen c8. Yeah, it's important to notice that bishop b7 is simply answered by queen takes b5 and bishop takes a6, queen takes b8. And well, this is an extra pawn and a winning position. So the game continues with queen c8, improving his position, and trying to bring this pawn and well, letting black destroy himself. This is a typical method. Black's position is really difficult to play, so playing g3 is a way to invite him to destroy himself. King g7, h4, typical. They want to create weaknesses around black's king by playing h5 or by provoking h5 that somehow weakens black's position as well. When your opponent has a rook, a powerful rook on the 7th rank, playing h5 can turn out to be a disaster, to weaken somehow. So he avoids it, tries to trade rooks. And well, he played h5. He continues with the idea, even though rook a8 followed by h5 was a better way to play, as white's rooks are simply dominating and black can barely move. So playing h5 turned out to be an inaccuracy that eases black a little bit. Rook takes a7, rook takes a7, and now playing queen g4 is a small mistake. Instead, playing queen b8 would be better, and well, difficult to crack. Queen e3, threatening h6, and the engine recommends g takes h5. And this is the sort of move that are not human, as we're not going to open the king on a time pressure. So after rook a7, queen g4, Maxime played rook a6, the optimal rook a6. It was time to play h6. Now again, this one seems to be really strong. And why not knight e7 right away? Knight e7 was already good enough. So bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen takes h5, and queen takes d6 is also interesting. After bishop takes d5, things went back to normal. The move should be queen c8, and I guess Wagner was on time pressure and he was losing his temper, he wasn't patient enough to discover this small move, forces white's rook away. After rook a6, Wagner played bishop takes d5 and queen takes d5 with the intention of grabbing this pawn and capturing this pawn in exchange of this one. Queen takes h5, black has no way to defend b5, so queen takes h5, knight takes b5, and things are becoming clear. The knight is going to be placed on d6 and the rook is going to attack f7, while this pawn is also ready to advance. So things are really desperate for black. The game continues with queen e2, rook d6, attacking the bishop and preparing rook d7, queen e1, king g2, queen takes b4, counterattacking the knight. e5 is falling, but MVL prefers to put pressure on f7 and clear the path for the knight. Bishop e7, now queen takes e5. Defending the e5 pawn by playing bishop f6 is simply desperate after knight d6. f7 is simply dropping. And we see the advantage of the famous tandem. Queen plus knight is superior to queen and bishop in certain situations because you can attack both dark squares and light squares, and there is not enough defense on the light squares as black is having only a dark square bishop, so no way to defend f7. Is similar to what happened with opposite colored bishops, and well, something that we should bear in mind, as this tandem queen plus knight is a pretty normal way to outplay your opponents. So after rook d7, bishop e7, queen takes e5, bishop f6, queen d5. By grabbing this e5 pawn, white is ready to bring the knight to d6, but also the pawn is going to play a role. So bishop e7 and knight d4. Yeah, the thing is that without the e pawn, this square is available, and things are completely desperate as knight c6 is coming, rook e8, knight c6, and that's it. The game is over. There is no way to defend e7. Yeah, queen c5, simply knight takes e7, queen takes, knight takes, or pawn takes. And in case of queen h3, things are really similar, simply even rook a7 or queen e5. Yeah, the thing is that this bishop cannot move because of the rook is falling, and king f8 to defend e7 is answered by queen h8, and that's it. It's interesting to see how often the pair of knights outplayed the pair of bishops in the Spanish 4 Knights. It's not the first time I mention it, and you haven't seen my previous videos in which I show how the knight pair is superior to the bishop pair in this kind of position. And I don't know, it's related to the name of the opening, or yeah, just by chance. And yeah, the knights are strong pieces as well. This is one of the mysteries of chess strategy, when the bishop is stronger than the knight, and vice versa, when the knight is stronger than the bishop. True chess mastery knows how to handle this kind of unbalance. Yeah, when to trade the bishop for a knight and when not to trade it. So in this game we see how successful Maxime was by doing it, so how his opponent, a strong grandmaster, seems so defenseless and no chance at all. It seemed like everything was decided beforehand by opening preparation. And this is a little bit deceiving, but somehow chances were, practical chances were there, but Wagner couldn't take advantage of them. So all in all, I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you're having a great time. And well, I'm looking forward to your comments and your suggestions for new openings to explore, things you like to see in the channel. And please feel free to let me your ideas in the comments below. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time. Goodbye.